Hi, this is Liz Goodwin from the Man Bag Chronicles, and today I have an article from henrymakow.com. Another one of his URLs is savethemales.ca, and either one of those URLs will get you to this website. And this is an article that he has written about the lost art of femininity, and I'm going to read this out with some comments because I think this is a very, very good article. So here we have this picture of this very obviously feminine woman here. This is Helen Anderlin, who was born in 1920, died in 2009. Here she is at the age of 21 in 1941. Henry Makow's comment is, beautiful women are a dime a dozen, but feminine women are extremely rare. I think more so today than at any time in history. Here is a quote from Helen's book. Femininity is a gentle, tender quality found in a woman's appearance, manner, and nature. A feminine woman gives the impression of softness and delicateness. She has a spirit of sweet submission and a dependency on men for their care and protection. Nothing about her appears masculine. No male aggressiveness, competence, efficiency, fearlessness, strength, or the ability to kill her own snakes. So this is from her book Fascinating Womanhood, page 247. Henry Makow writes, femininity is based on a woman making husband, children, and home her first priority. Her self-sacrifice is the way that love comes into the world. We love people who love us. Heterosexuality is based on the feminine surrender of worldly power in exchange for male power expressed as love. So the Satanists taught women to seek power instead of love. They taught women their value lies in their sex appeal. They are porn stars instead of wives and mothers. They squander their most fertile years when they are irresistible, pursuing careers instead of families, only to be left high and dry later. Men have been brainwashed by sex and are incapable of seeing women realistically as human beings. Will the Kabbalists responsible for sabotaging Western society be made to pay? I think this is a very, very important comment. So let's continue. By cultivating in all women a sense of self-importance, we shall destroy among the Goyim the importance of the family and its educational value. In this way, we shall create a blind, mighty force which will never be in a position to move in any direction without the guidance of our agents. This is from the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Those of you who watched my interview with Jackson Snyder will remember me showing a picture of the Bank of America mural, the woman in the box, as it were, in this frame, and she is tied, she is a puppet, and that is exactly the blind mighty force. So here we have Henry's article. Helen Anderlin's book, Fascinating Womanhood, 1963. And I will put that link in the show notes for this so that you can click on it and read it if you want to. Her book is subversive to the New World Order because it upholds the inherent difference between the sexes and the basic laws governing marriage. Such a book would never be published today. It is only available because it appeared 58 years ago and sold more than 2 million copies. If you have any doubt about your sexual identity, I recommend Fascinating Womanhood. It is pertinent to men as well as women. I also recommend Anderlin's Fascinating Girl for Single Women and her husband's Man of Steel and Velvet for Men. I'm not saying, he says, I'm not saying you should treat this model as gospel or that it's for everyone. For example, Anderlin implies women should reward men with sex. That seems dated, and I told her so in an email. My comment was met with a frosty silence. The truth is, women need sex as much as men, but feminine women don't admit that. Nevertheless, the book represents a timeless heterosexual paradigm that works. Femininity and masculinity are an art like playing the piano. They must be learned. We have to know the basics before we can improvise. People are very malleable. Society is the target of long-term Kabbalist Jewish hate campaign designed to degrade and discredit heterosexuality. Domestic violence and rape are highlighted to make women fear men, reject femininity, and become masculine. The destruction of the family has always been the goal of the financial elite in order to control people. See, this is his link there, the Illuminati program. He says, I will elaborate below. The basics of femininity. Andelin says a woman's happiness depends on her husband's lifelong devotion and love. Now, I'm going to stop right there, because that phrase would send the majority of psychologists into a tailspin. Because that is the very definition right there, and I don't know if this will highlight if I go across it. To say a woman's happiness, there we go, depends on her husband's lifelong devotion and love. Wow. That would be the very definition of codependency right there. And as I said when I was interviewed by Jackson, I think what is so important to understand is that the majority of codependency signs are actually signs of genuine femininity. And that is why they want to pathologize them. Yes, a woman's happiness does depend on her husband's lifelong devotion and love. I think there's more to it than that, of course, but it's a big part of it is love and security and all of those things, which of course modern liberal notions of psychology would throw in the garbage, because they absolutely want to destroy exactly what is most fulfilling to a woman. They want to tell you what is going to fulfill you, and then when you go for that thing, you will find that it is an empty thing. It is an empty, useless thing. Female power, empty, useless thing. Totally will not make you happy. Independence won't make you happy. Just won't. Okay, let's continue. This book teaches women how to be attractive to men, how to be feminine. Andelin writes that women don't have to be beautiful to be feminine. Acquire a feminine manner by accentuating the differences between yourself and men, not the similarities. Since the masculine manner is strong, firm, and heavy, you should be gentle, delicate, and light. Apply this in the way you walk, talk, use your hands, and carry yourself. I think this is a very key thing. So we are talking here about accentuating the differences between yourself and men. Now, I think it's important as a woman. I think it's important to acknowledge those differences, and I think that's very important in male-female communication. That, for example, now I can only speak for myself, but I can get quite emotional. I am somebody who cries quite easily. I get quite emotional. It's just the way I am. It's part of being a feminine woman to be quite sensitive. And so when that happens, I don't make a big thing of it. And I don't say, this is now your problem and you've got to sort it out because I'm upset. Okay? I'm upset because I'm a woman. I'm upset because I get upset. Okay? It's not a sign that the man suddenly has to drop everything, change his plans, live his life around the whims of my emotions, because that's just not going to be healthy or good for anybody. That's just going to be completely and utterly a bad idea. So when I know, for example, of course, another classic example is I'm a woman. I have a cycle. And I have different hormones that are doing different things at different times of the month, which means, again, that of course affects emotions, it affects all sorts of things. And so, again, acknowledging that you might be in a bit of a bad mood, or you might be not feeling great, you might be feeling more tired, you might be feeling, you might have pain, all of these things. You can acknowledge those things and just say, well, yeah. This is one of those things about being a woman. I remember a few years ago that Vladimir Putin, he was reported as making a comment. He said, I'm not a woman. I don't have bad days. And of course, you could hear the sound of people's heads, exploding with anger at the thought of this absolute misogyny from this man. No, it's not misogyny. It's a fact. Men generally don't have bad days. Some things can cause a man to have a bad day, but it's not going to be the fluctuation of natural hormones. Okay, let's continue. I can still remember how a girl I knew closed the kitchen cupboard with a motion of her hips. This happened 51 years ago when I was 20. When Andelin writes that a feminine woman is never crude, vulgar, harsh, overbearing, or critical, it is apparent that the fair sex is being deliberately degraded and neutered by the media. All your conversation should reflect tenderness, patience, forgiveness, tolerance, and love. This is so incredibly important, and I've had comments from men who I've been in conversation with about that aspect of me. I've had comments about that. Unfortunately, of course, this lack of femininity hasn't just affected us women. It's affected men too. Men have been infected by feminism just as women have been infected by feminism. A wife's first priority is her husband and then her children. Thus, a single woman will consecrate herself for her future husband and her children as much as possible. She will not be promiscuous. Wives tend to put career, friends, parents' success and appearance before their husbands. If you are a successful career woman, keep your priorities straight, Andelin writes. Let your husband know by words and actions that he is number one. This is really important. I can't emphasize that enough. It's so easy to get lost in the world, in work and in busyness. And keeping your husband as your top priority helps to maintain that incredibly essential bond that you have. Just really, really important. The woman's primary role is to be a wife, mother, and homemaker. The man's role is to be a guide, protector, and provider. This doesn't mean women can't have careers or men can't cook or change a diaper. A man needs to feel that he is needed and that he excels his woman in his role. If she becomes independent, he may question his purpose and his feelings for her, since his romantic feelings partly arise from her need to be protected, sheltered, and cared for. This is exactly what I was saying. This is exactly what I was saying on Jackson's show about a woman being independent. Now, of course, he may question his purpose and his feelings for her. It's now not that problem. It's coming from the other side. It's men actually encouraging women to be independent out of, please excuse this language, guys, but out of laziness. You don't want to be there when a woman is saying, can you meet me at such and such a place? Can you pick me up from so and so? Can you be with me when I go for this appointment or whatever? The wording comes back, you're a strong independent woman. You don't need anyone for da 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 da. And bit by bit you actually push her to become independent, and then of course you wonder why she maybe doesn't actually treat you with the love and tenderness that you really want to receive from her. So guys, please do protect, shelter, and care for the women in your life. Okay, very, very important. A woman should accept her husband at face value and not try to change him. This is fantastic, and of course, absolutely true. If when you meet the guy, you love the guy, love him as he is. Don't expect any major change, okay? Because people generally don't change. Even people who want to change very often don't change. Even with a lot of effort, people who want to change don't change. So don't have that as your goal, because that is essentially what you're doing is you're telling yourself to love someone who isn't actually present. You know, it's like, I've known women like this who see the potential in a man. And they love the potential, but not the real man. Okay, I'm going to pause here and start a fresh recording because otherwise I'm going to run out of time. This always happens. I thought I could do this in 15 minutes, but apparently not. Okay, hold on.